Hey everyone, welcome back to iNeuronics.ai. In today's video, we are diving into a topic that is super relevant if you're working with AI, machine learning, or any tech involving models. Today we'll discuss about what is the difference between open source and closed source models with the real life examples. Stay tuned until the end because I also showcase my exclusive Excel repo, which is the ultimate tool for choosing between open source and closed source models as per your use case. So let's get started. First of all, let's break down these terms: open source and closed source models. Open source refers to software whose source code is made available to public. This means anyone can view, modify, and distribute the code. It encourages collaboration, community contribution, and transparency. So, imagine you're baking a cake. It's like sharing your recipe with the world. Everyone can see the ingredients, the steps, and even tweak the recipe to make it better. So it include the models like GPT, Neo by Luther AI, Stable Diffusion by Stability AI, Bloom by Big Science, Mistral models, Mixtral, Llama models, and many more. So if I talk about closed source models, on the other hand, it refers to software where source is kept private. It's typically developed by a company or organization, and access to the code is restricted over here. Users can use the software but cannot view or modify its internal working. So if I talk about in the same scenario of baking a cake, so it's like buying a ready-made cake from a bakery. You don't know what's inside it, but it works well for your party. It includes the models like a GPT series by OpenAI, Anthropic Cloud, models by Cohere, and many more. So now we're going to talk about the real life examples related to open source and closed source models. So think of Linux. It's open source and developers from around the globe contribute to making it better. In artificial intelligence, the models like Hugging Face, Transformer libraries, Facebook's PyTorch, and Stability AI, Stable Diffusion empower developers to innovate and create customized solutions. So in closed source, you can think of Microsoft Word. It's closed source, you can use it, but you cannot peek into its code or customize it. In artificial intelligence, companies like OpenAI with GPT-4, IBM with Watson, Adobe with Firefly offer closed source solutions that are user friendly and reliable. Now let's break down the pros and cons of open source and closed source models. So first of all, see the pros of open source models. So over here we have transparency. It means you have fully visibility into how the model works. Everything is open source online. You can see the entire architecture behind that particular model. Secondly, over here we have customization. It means you can tailor it to your specific needs. You can perform fine tuning on your custom data set, which may be for image classification, which may be for text translation, which may be for image generation, etc. Over here, we also have community support. A large community means quicker update and shared solutions. And when the entire world will contribute towards that particular open source model, then it would be more robust and scalable with the passes of time. Now we're going to talk about the cons of open source model. So first of all, here we have complexity. It may require technical expertise to set up and run. The virtual machines are required over here, which are very expensive. And secondly, over here we have security risk because it is open source. So there is a great chance of vulnerabilities. And now we're going to talk about the pros of closed source model. First of all, over here we have easy to use functionality. It's ready to use with a little to no extra configuration needed. Just we need to create an API keys from their official documentation, and we can hit all those API keys for different use cases as per the documentation. It is reliable. So it is often supported by the major companies with the strong resources behind it, like OpenAI, like Microsoft, Azure, like that. Now we're going to talk about the cons of closed source model. So first is cost. It typically comes with a higher price point. We need to pay as per the tokens, and different models will be having a different pricing. It would be available on their official websites. So secondly, over here we have lack of transparency. You won't know the full details of how it works under the hood because everything is closed source over here. Over here, like open source, you don't have any repository where you can see the entire working, entire architecture of that particular model. Now the big question arises, when should you use open source model and when should you use closed source models? Use open source models when you're working on research or need to do innovate. If you want to save the cost and have technical expertise to manage the model, you should go for open source models. So when to use closed source model, if you need a reliable and ready to use solution, and speed and efficiency are your top priorities, you can go with closed source models. For example, you're working in a fintech company where your data is very crucial. You don't want to even send your data to the companies like OpenAI, Microsoft, or Together AI, Cohere, right? So you can use open source models because your data is very, very crucial. And if your data is not that much important or crucial, you can go for closed source models. One thing that we should keep in mind that in open source models we need powerful virtual machines or clouds to host bigger models, and in the closed source models we need to pay as per the token. Now we can see some of the LLM providers which provide open source and closed source models. If I talk about Hugging Face, Stability AI, Luther AI, GitHub, all these platforms will provide open source models. And if I talk about OpenAI, Google AI, Anthropic, IBM Bits, and Microsoft Azure AI, all these platforms provide closed source model. You can visit these sites to explore features, pricing, and use cases for both open source and closed source models. Now let me show you something that will make your decision making process more sharp and breeze, my Excel repo. So I have been updating this Excel repo on daily basis whenever new open source or closed source model comes. For example, I am solving one business use case in which I want to perform image classification. Then I can filter the image classification from this particular use case column. Say I have image classification over here. So what I did in this particular Excel repo, I have integrated the code with respect to each and every use case. For example, if I want to perform prompting while performing image classification, I'll click on this particular link. And if I want to perform prompting with image classification, then I can also use this particular model. As you can see, the entire Google Colab is linked with this particular Excel repo. And for the similar use case, if I want to use any closed source models, then we have two models over here by OpenAI and Google. You can click on this particular link. You'll be having a piece of code to use GPT-4o mini. You can add a image over here and you can perform your task. So this is super important and very helpful Excel repo for me while working on daily basis. So for example, I want to perform image captioning, then I'll go with this particular model. This is a Florence model by Microsoft. I can use it from here like that. Here we have information regarding the model, different task like that. So in this way, I've been updating this particular, I've been keeping this particular, framework in my hand while working. So it'll increase my productivity to 100x when I'll work, because I have collected each and everything at one particular location. So you can select open source and closed source model as per your requirement from this particular repo, and you should be having a habit to create such repos of your own as well, so that you can work with maximum productivity. So that's all. Thank you. In the next one, we'll see you.